I am excited about Money in the Bank, which in 2020 we have renamed to Money on the Roof, because it is going to feature a bunch of people, starting at the bottom of WWE HQ and going through each and every single floor until they get to the roof. When on the roof, there's going to be a ring, there's going to be 2 briefcases, one for the women and one for the men, and craziness is just going to happen. And you just know this is going to be shot all cinematic. Look at me being Steven Spielberg here. Who was that? Steven Spielberg? Look at me. Look how excited I am. I just want it to be good, because it's not good, I'm going to pull out my hair. And look what happened last time I pulled out my hair. It still hasn't grown back, and that was about 6 years ago. Anyway, my name is Simon Miller. Money on the Roof 2020 is a couple of days away, so we got to predict it. Everybody put your thinking caps on. As always, I'm sure that World Wrestling Entertainment will just randomly announce some new matches, but as I always say, I gotta draw a line under it somewhere, otherwise we'll be doing these predictions literally an hour before the pay-per-view begins, and then Gallows and Anderson will come out on the pre-show and you'll be like, I thought they were released. It never makes any sense. But we will start with the WWE SmackDown Tag Team Championship match, which I believe is going to be The New Day versus the Forgotten Sons versus Miz and Morrison and versus the Lucha House Party, who have come back in from out of the rain. I was really worried about them. And the situation we find ourselves in here is that you can't take this off Big E and Kofi Kingston at this stage. That would be absolutely nuts. They've only held it for about 3 weeks, and if you're starting to throw the tag team titles around like a hot potato, well, you're doing that gold a disservice. The tag team division right now is actually in a pretty decent place. Again, Lucha House Party are back, and the Forgotten Sons, they have massive potential, but the only way to make sure you secure that is by having the top prize feel like a cookie on a summer's day. And I like a cookie on a summer's day, and therefore it's important. Which brings me to the conclusion that the only reason that Gran Metalik and Lince Dorado are in the thing to begin with is that they can take the pin. And that kind of makes me sad too, because we could have kind of done some shifting around here and actually given the Lucha House Party a win. Here's a little bit of homework, not homework, but a thing to do, an errand to run today. Go onto YouTube, search for both those guys, and watch some of their wrestling highlights. They are so talented, they are so good, they should be flying higher than an eagle instead of just being job guys in a fatal 4-way and elimination, whatever the hell this is. So there it is, there's my prediction. It's nice and simple. We'll probably do something with the Forgotten Sons, so coming out of the back of this, they will be the #1 contenders, and then Miz and Morrison will probably have another match against the Lucha House Party, and of course John Morrison and The Miz will win. But there ain't no way that Money in the Bank 2020 Money on the Roof is finishing without having Big E and Kofi Kingston as tag team champions. That's a very bold statement, and I will regret it, because WWE always does that to me, slaps me around the face, but I want a tag team division to be good, damn it. I really, really do. There's so many good teams, so I need to stand here and make a stand. That's what I've done. You go get them, New Day. People at home. Sticking on the blue brand too, we are getting the Women's SmackDown Championship defended as Bayley puts that title on the line against Tamina. And did you know that nobody is meaner? This kind of falls into the same category as what I was just talking about. We're not going to get to Monday and have Tamina as the SmackDown Women's Champion. And I'm all for it. If WWE wanted to pull a fast one, for some reason, I really enjoy Tamina. I think it's because she's become meaner, and when you become meaner, and me, I'm a streamer, sometimes I want to get leaner because Tamina, she's the meaner. Also, if you haven't done so already, you should go and check out Tamina on social media, because she is allowed to show so much more personality there than she does on television, and that baffles my brain, but you've already figured out what's going to happen. Ask yourself the question. Is Sasha Banks in the Women's Money in the Bank match? No, she is not. So she'll come out here, she'll do something for her friend Bayley. Well, actually, it could go one of 2 ways. Look at me interrupting myself. I guess there's a small chance that Sasha Banks does go to Old Bells, screws up, and that allows Tamina to become the champion. But instead, what I think will happen, you'll get the tease of this. Bayley will still walk away with the title, and we can try and figure out what's going to happen with Sasha Banks and Bayley. But Tamina, she's just here. She's filler. I hate saying it, but she is. They've gone, oh, we can put Tamina in a match for a while. And that sucks, because as we have established, and as I will stop running into the ground soon, nobody's meaner than Tamina. If you think you're meaner than Tamina, write it in the comments. What's the meanest thing you've ever done? I will read said comments. And if I read one and go, well, that's definitely meaner than Tamina, I will crown you the meanest of them all. Bayley wins. We'll shift over to Raw for a second, because we do have Drew McIntyre, the WWE Champion, taking on Seth Rollins. And again, it's one of those situations where you're like, hang on, wait a second. Drew McIntyre can't lose his championship. He's doing too well, and he feels like a damn good title holder, doesn't he? One of the best baby faces in the company. But at the same time, Seth Rollins' new heel persona, which I do enjoy, isn't exactly having the best run. Lost to Kevin Owens, got his ass kicked there, and if he gets his ass kicked again here, well, what do you do with the guy? And I don't mind this, I really don't. I think professional wrestling is at its best when you are confused as an audience member and you're trying to figure out which direction a company's gonna go in. My worry, however, is that we're gonna get a DQ, or we're gonna get some kind of schmoz, or we're gonna get some kind of nonsense, which, as you can see, chops away at my knees and makes me smaller than I am. I'm just gonna pump myself back up to my normal height. There we are. And I don't want that. I want a definitive winner, because doing something that makes you go, oh, there's a get out of jail free card, it doesn't help Drew, and it doesn't help Seth. If Drew McIntyre is our main project right now, then you gotta sacrifice Seth Rollins. Hell, Seth always got on about sacrificing. You can do it to him there. I'm sure that Buddy Murphy will do something as well. Sorry, just Murphy, don't call him Buddy. But even then, the cool thing about our Scottish psychopath is that on Raw, when these two have tried to usurp him, they failed. Drew McIntyre's too smart, Drew McIntyre's too strong, Drew McIntyre is too much of a cool dude. And that's what I want. Drew McIntyre, the cool dude, standing at the end of Money in the Roof 2020 going, ha ha ha, I'm still the champion, because no matter how good you are, Seth, no matter how good you are, Buddy Murphy, I am better. You see, this is what I want. Nice and simple booking, and I'm afraid I'm not going to get it. I'm going to drop the WWE Championship. I want a Claymore kick? Hell, give Seth 3 Claymore kicks. Give him 72,000 Claymore kicks, just have Drew win. So once again, I'm putting my spear in the stand, and I'm saying that Drew McIntyre wins, and he wins clean. Ain't no way he's winning clean, it will be a DQ. I also realised at this point that the Money on the Roof card is actually quite good for this intrigue nature, because you've also got Bray Wyatt the Fiend going back after his Universal Championship, which is now around the waist of Braun Strowman. Now, if Roman Reigns had come back at this point, I would have gone, well, I know what WWE's going to do. We can just revert to the original plan, which clearly was meant to be Bray versus Roman. But we don't know when the big dog is coming back to SmackDown. So again, it's the same thing we had with the New Day, the same thing we had with Drew. Are we just gonna use Braun Strowman in a hot potato and take the title off him? Are we gonna give it back to Bray Wyatt? We know how difficult that is with that character. It's really tough. This could be the hardest predictions ever. But deep down, I'm going with my passion again, and I just don't want to see Bray Wyatt lose. Like, he's so talented, and he's so good with his promos and all these crazy things that he comes up with. He's able to circumvent everything, but as we've seen before with the original Bray Wyatt and the Bray Wyatt family, that does have a shelf life, and eventually it starts to go the other way. When you remember the Firefly Funhouse match with John Cena, how good that was, and how much we all beloved the Fiend there, don't run it into the ground, especially with someone like Braun Strowman. I like Braun, but he doesn't feel like the same force he did a couple of years ago, so if you've got to push him to one side, we're talking about it again, let Bray Wyatt win. Let him get that championship back, and then for the love of everything, come up with a good idea where he can hold on to it for a while. In fact, why don't just Bray Wyatt drive an ambulance up to ringside, and then Braun will go, oh, it's the ambulance, and then he'll try and pull it over, you know what Braun does, and then you can just count him out. There you go, there's the worst finish ever. Double count out, or Braun Strowman gets counted out, title doesn't change hands, but Bray Wyatt technically wins because Braun was obsessed with trying to tip over an ambulance. Slightly terrified that could happen, but I'm going with you, Bray. Please bring it home. Which does indeed bring us to, I guess, double main event, because they are going to happen simultaneously, as we found out on WWE TV, which is the Money on the Roof match. And I'm just going to read everybody involved because there's a lot, and I'm old and I'm stupid. But it's Daniel Bryan versus Rey Mysterio versus Aleister Black versus King Corbin versus Otis versus the phenomenal one, AJ Styles, who, and then we'll look over, I suppose, at Asuka taking on Shayna Baszler, taking on Nia Jax, taking on Dana Brooke, taking on Lacey Evans, who shall also be taking on Carmella. Again, they will start at the bottom of the floor, they will batter up to the top floor. I have no idea what to expect, but what I want is love and joy. And if we do focus on the women first, yes, of course I want Asuka to win, but she won't. So I think there are two categories that stand out a country mile. One is Shayna Baszler, so that we can easily segue back into that program with Becky Lynch. And as we saw on Raw, we even had a little vignette that said, next week on Raw, Becky Lynch confronts the winner of the Money in the Bank. So you better hope they're not from SmackDown. Whoops-a-doozah there, WWE. But if you don't want to do that, you have been pushing Nia Jax quite hard. You do have that story in your back pocket from Survivor Series when Nia punched her in the face. maybe you want to do that instead. So they're my two front runners, but I don't believe the Becky Lynch Shayna Baszler story ever really got going, let alone concluded, so I'm going to put my money behind her, and then Nia Jax can probably start having a feud with Lacey Evans. They'll get into it here, it will spill over to Monday nights, and then you'll all complain. I know how this works. And the men's one is even harder to try and figure out. I mean, if they're going to troll us, it'll be Baron Corbin, and he can finally avenge when he screwed up in 2017 or whenever it was. But really, I'd love them to give it to Aleister Black, because Daniel Bryan doesn't need it. I don't think Otis is in that spot quite yet. Whereas if you do give it to the man that likes to cut promos in dark and smoky rooms, you're telling your audience, hey, we're about to get behind this guy, keep your eye on him, and I think that's something he needs. I'd also be fine with Rey Mysterio coming away with it, because I love Rey Mysterio. I think he's the best babyface in the world. And the most important thing here comes in the form of AJ Styles. Now, as we know, AJ Styles got buried in dirt at WrestleMania 36, but because he's just amazing, he was able to come back on Raw a couple of days ago, and he's fine. He even said, I got buried alive. So what? Because he's the immortal AJ Styles. So WWE, please, I know it's been shot, but you can do re-edit somehow, probably impossible. Have somebody chuck AJ Styles off the roof. I want to see him go. I want to see him fall. I want the idea here for me to think that he is dead, and then on Raw he comes out and he goes, I was thrown off a roof, so what? Greatest gimmick ever. I already love AJ Styles, but I'll adore him. I'll take that next step up. I am begging you, WWE. We have not had a chance for this kind of wackiness in ages. I need it in my life. And even with that said, I'm going to pull my own swerve out, because I think it will be AJ that walks away as the winner. Why? Because AJ Styles versus Drew McIntyre sounds flippin' brilliant. If this is the way you want to get there, you can sign me up. Write my name, Simon Miller, Bald Asshole 2020. So yeah, have AJ Styles win or have him be murdered. That's what I just predicted. I'm a weird chap. Now do make sure you let us know your predictions in the comments below, and of course if you're meaner than Tamina. This is a serious competition, I want to know. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to What Culture, it's free. You just go click and magical things happen. Then head over to whatculture.com and read yourself some articles, a lot of which will be about Money in the Bank. Follow What Culture on Twitter, What Culture WWE, so you can stay up with Money in the Bank, and then you watch more videos here on What Culture. I was about to call it Money in the Bank. It's not. But you can watch Money in the Bank videos here on What Culture Wrestling. My name is Simon from What Culture. Thank you very much for watching. And obviously do join me for ups and downs for Money in the Bank, Money on the Roof 2020 on Monday at 2 p.m. BST. I really hope I've just got the biggest grin on my face because I saw dumbness personified. You saw the street fight on AEW Dynamite a couple of days ago. Do that with this, but make it all cinematic. And I want to see Vince's office, and I want to see the WWE gym, and if somehow we can get to that warehouse where all the old props are, that would be lovely too. Just make me laugh. I need humor in my life right now, we all do. You got this, WWE. I believe.